Hey guys, what's up? Excoundrel here, and today we are covering the Update 3.6 balance notes. There are no item changes, but there are a decent amount of hero changes to go through, and we'll go through the buffs and nerfs individually, talking about how it might impact their pick rate and their place in the meta. This is a shorter one, like I said. It's not going to be one of my usual 30-minute ones. We got through this whole thing in about 12 minutes. So sit back, enjoy, and let's discuss the meta. Alright guys, this is Update 3.6 item and hero balance changes, so we're going to talk about them together as we go through this. This is the first time I'm reading them, they're out today. I thought I'd get on it very quickly so you guys can listen and understand what will be coming in the next update. Right, let's have a look. See jungle time spawns on your minimap, and let's have a quick look at this together. Let's view this together. Okay. Nice kill, Samuel. Solid kill. Oh, he got rooted. Classic rookie error. Okay, that definitely wasn't the video that I thought it was going to be. Regardless, display timers for all scouted jungle camps. Now, League of Legends does this. It does it for the red and blue buffs, even if you've scouted the enemy red and blue buffs, so you'll be able to get the information there. For every jungle camp, though, that's very interesting. I have a feeling that it's making the jungle easier and easier for people. This is for me, a step in the wrong direction. It's going to help a lot of lower tier players, but the higher tiers, 2 minutes for every cooldown, every camp took a lot of the skill out of jungling anyway. And now with the timers there, it's going to make rotating out of the bot lane as a duo and also invading 10 times easier as well. You'll have a visual indicator and you won't have to keep track of it in your head. Not so keen on this change personally, but it is probably good for the majority of players who want that kind of extra information. But for me, and I guess a lot of other high tier players, they won't be so keen on this actual change. This is what this video was for. Basically buffing the healing treant damage, buffing the Ord Guardian damage. I don't know why these videos are there, just smacking down heroes, but whatever. Captain Minion range is down, and both of the Jungle Bear damage is up. I guess they're trying to make the jungle more punishing for non-jungling heroes, but you are still going to have people duoing the jungle, so it is not going to make that much difference, personally. I don't think it's going to make that much difference. People will still be duoing the jungle, just given these changes here. Nothing has changed in this particular set of update notes to make me think that people won't be duoing the jungle, so the actual damage being dealt doesn't matter so much because they're going to go down so quickly anyway. You'll just take a little bit more damage, and it honestly is not, I don't think, going to make that much big of a difference. Buffing Adagio, going to be a still staple, even more of a staple top lane pick. Also going to buff Adagio's captain build too. Obviously his weapon power and CP builds are going to get a little bit of a bonus out of this too. But regardless of what happens, his current place in the meta is going to be solidified. So obviously, as if you hadn't tell, Adagio's still good. Anchor, Mirage cooldown going up. Now, most people don't overdrive Anchor's ultimate, so you always are going to end up on this second tier, and 5 seconds for something that you probably used once in a fight, not a big deal. Anchor's still going to be good. Merciless Pursuit cooldown is down to 12 seconds. Sorry, up to 12 seconds. I'm reading this wrong the whole way down. I mean, Catherine was okay. She still wasn't like a super solid pick. I don't think this is that big of a change. 2 seconds is going to make a small difference, but not a huge amount. And overall, not the worst thing in the world for Catherine. It's a pretty meh change. Celeste, supernova damage. Significantly cut, actually. That's just under a 10% cut on her supernova damage at the end levels. Her scaling is still going to be really good on it, though. I still think Celeste is going to be solid. Her range is what makes her. It's not really about the overall damage, although the damage is obviously important. This is still very high damage, regardless if you've cut 30 off it or not. That's still super high damage at top levels. So you're still going to see post-level 8 Celestes going to town on people, and that's really why she was being picked mostly. Law of the Claw damage down. What? Oh, they really want to kill Fortress off. Fortress has taken a huge slurry of nerfs. He's not even really in the meta. I think these changes are there because Fortress still has one of the highest win rates in the game. I think they're just trying to solidify him as a specific role, an engage type support, and trying to limit his damage overall, especially from the jungle. People will still pick Fortress, though, because he still does a specific job really well, which is engage on a single target. So Fortress will still have his place where it was in the meta right now. He might just see a win rate drop, but otherwise, if you were going to pick Fortress before, this is not going to change your mind in picking Fortress. He still has that specific role. Divine Intervention cooldown up. Yeah, that change needed to happen. It's up by 10 seconds. Grace will still be fine top lane. Again, she went through this change previously, and overall, whilst it did impact her slightly, didn't impact her enough to make it her out of the meta. She's still going to be a good top laner and a decent support. Living Armor damage reduction. Well, Grumpjaw. Yeah, okay. Bringing Grumpjaw into a position where he could be a jungler or a top laner. I actually quite like Grumpjaw as a top laner, so I could very well see this being the case. Grumpjaw could genuinely be a top laner, and I think overall he could be in the jungle as well. So again, this damage reduction is especially going to help in the 2v1 lane in the top. I like this. Okay, Gwen. Flat speed boost decaying on Skedaddle. Speed amount goes up initially, so she gets an initial burst of speed that goes all the way up, and if you overdrive it, you get an insane speed boost. The speed boost duration is up, but they've nerfed her ultimate range but increased the radius, so it's not so hard to hit if you miss it on the horizontal axis, but it's not going to go as far, which is going to help bad Gwen players out, but will punish good Gwen players and help bad Gwen players, unless this radius can hit multiple people, but I don't think it can. But this is interesting. You might actually overdrive Skedaddle instead of Aces High now. I think you did anyway, so that doesn't make a difference. I don't know who actually overdrove Aces High, but I think you're definitely overdriving Skedaddle, and I think you even potentially overdrive it first, because honestly, unless you're CP Gwen, you were never really maxing A in the first place, and this is actually a really massive movement speed buff. It's a pretty decent buff for Gwen, actually. A pretty decent buff for Gwen. Kensei, his B is cooldown is reduced. Nivmet, I don't know if this was your doing, but I told you to delete Kensei from the game. Not make him better. He doesn't need to be better. Kensei doesn't need to be better. He's still really good. Oh, okay, guys. You're still 100% banning Kensei. If you weren't banning Kensei, you were doing it wrong anyway. Now you're banning Kensei again. I don't know why that change was needed. Githium passive damage reduction up, like doubled almost from level 1. The crystal ratio is down though. Is that the crystal ratio on his damage reduction? Yes, I imagine so. Active damage reduction is up as well, but the crystal ratio is down. So basically meaning that if you're not playing CP Lance and you're playing Captain Lance or Weapon Power Lance, your damage reduction is going to be beneficial. Overall, this is a net buff for Lance again, trying to make him a jungler or a captain a solid place in the meta. I think the damage reduction is probably good enough to make Lance a really beefy frontline tank. It's probably good enough to make Lance a potential top laner. So definitely look out for Lance on the next update. I think he could be a top laner. I think he definitely could have a place in the captain role with this damage reduction increase. And overall, could be a really solid place. I might actually try out Lance for this specific reason right here, the passive damage reduction in the top lane. I think that's good. Polite Company, Fortified Life generated down. I mean, Finn had a high win rate. I think he had one of the highest win rates on the last update. And a lot of this was due to the fact that the Fortified Health that you generated with the Capacitor Plate was really, really high. So overall, just trying to nerf that down a little bit. But Finn is still good. He'll definitely take a small hit in win rate, though, for this. Root duration on chill wins up in the early game. I don't think this is going to make Rhyme meta. Rhyme still has a very specific place and he's too easily focused in 5v5. Might make him better in 3v3 though. So Rhyme definitely could be good in 3v3, but it's not going to make him any better in 5v5, realistically. Rhyme was like a passable jungler in certain situations and potentially could work as a top laner, but overall, this is not going to make Rhyme any more meta than he was previously. Rona, her base attack speed is up. Berserker's Fury damage per basic attack is up. Foe Splitter weapon ratio is up. And Red Mist weapon ratio is up. Probably enough to make Rona a solid bot lane choice, actually. And I think she could also be seen in the jungle. So Rona could be seen in the bot lane again and also in the jungle. Overall, this is a good change. And yeah, I could definitely see Rona. She may even be a good top laner if you have the book and go straight towards Serpent's Mask and can sustain that lane. But the problem is that you need gold to be useful on Rona, and top lane does get starved of gold. So she could definitely be a bot laner, and we might see her in the jungle. Okay, having a look at Tone. Whoa. So come at me now properly scales a hero level. That was the barrier that was having an issue. Okay, so they nerfed the flat damage. It means Tony's early game, especially, is getting hit a little bit, but the weapon ratio is going up by 50%. Stun duration is going down in the early game, but when you overdrive, you get the previous stun duration, and trash talk damage has gone up by a metric crap ton. I think overall, with just one spell sword, this is a slight buff. I mean, I have to figure out if you get a 20% increase there on your damage from Jawbreaker, you need 80. So you'd have to build a lot of weapon power to make Tony's Jawbreaker as good, but a lot of the damage is trying to be subsidized through trash talk. A net nerf for Tony's early game by a massive margin, but if you build Tony more than just one spell sword, you might see some rewards in the late game. But utility Tony is definitely getting a nerf in terms of the damage he outputted, which I think is probably warranted, because if you've watched Maxman stream, Tony, even just with one spell sword, did too much damage. So his early game getting nerfed, he'll scale well still, but you have to build more than one spell sword to make it work the way that it did previously, which sacrifices some of his survivability, which might be compensated with the fact that his passive is now working properly. Nerf for Tony, though. Definitely an overall nerf. Secondary target crystal ratio and Anvil's hammer cooldown reduced by a lot. Varia was on the fringes of being good in the mid lane. Her ultimate is like an accessory part of her kit that was okay. So maybe this is going to have an impact. Maybe this will bring Varia in. But Varia was never like out of the meta. She just was like B tier compared to A tier, or rather A tier compared to S tier. This might bring Varia back up. It's a good buff for Varia, and definitely means she's going to be more effective in team fights in the late game by having this up consistently. Especially if you've built a clockwork, you know, you're looking at potentially a cooldown on 35 seconds, 30 seconds or so. So, well, not 30 seconds, but 35 seconds or so. So you could be getting off one at the start of the fight, and if you have a back and forth fight, you could get another ultimate off, which would be pretty good. Resonance damage is down. Okay, really trying to kill Vox off. You're not going to kill Vox off. Vox is still going to be good. Just how it is. Vox is just good. Like, he just does a lot for a weapon power carry. And whilst this is a bit of a hit for his weapon power build and his CP build, overall Vox is still going to be solid because of his kit. Overall, his kit is just good. Talent balance changes. Well, I don't play Blitz, so they're not doing any item changes. I don't know whether they've done any item changes. I'm gonna wait a little bit and see if they publish any item changes, and then we'll see. Right, that was a very quick set of update notes. Overall, I hope that was informative, and I will see you soon.